Okay, good morning, guys. I know this is a little bit late. Yesterday, I absolutely wore myself out. If you remember, I said I got up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I just pushed it all day long. I got as much stuff done as I possibly could. I got the, what did I get? I got the propane tank filled. I went down to a place and ordered my two front seats in the RV to be completely reupholstered, which reminds me I need to go down and make a payment on that today. Then I pulled it up in front of the house and I tried out a whole bunch of stuff. The awning that comes out, I put that out because I wanted to make sure it wasn't torn or anything. Plus, I just kind of wanted to see what it looked like. I hadn't had it out before. Then I checked out like the back compartment, if you guys remember, where I put the spare tire. I wanted to make sure that when the slide come out over that it did not interrupt that tire being in there or anything like that. And then I went inside, I took out the mattress, I cleaned the whole bedroom, and I scrubbed everything down and swept it several times. And man, at the end of the day, I was totally exhausted. I did several other things besides that, but totally exhausted end of the day. So I slept in this morning, slept straight through my alarm. But I'm up now, and I am ready for some Jesus calling. I'm ready for some coffee, too, but I haven't made it yet. So today is January 15th, and let's just read this real quick here, and then I'm gonna discuss this because there's something else. Sometimes this takes a totally different turn than what it actually means, and it gets me reading something else. So, okay, this one today for January 15th, it says, "My face is shining upon you, beaming out peace that transcends understanding. You are surrounded by a sea of problems, but you are face to face with me, your peace." I'm going to skip down here for a second, and it says, "If you gaze too long at the myriad of problems around you, you will sink under the weight of your burdens. When you start to sink, simply call out, 'Help me, Jesus,' and I will lift you up." Help me, Jesus! So, in reading that, I mean, that's something I do all the time. If you think about your problems too much and you give them too much focus, they are going to drag you down. There's nothing you can do about it. However, if you turn and say, "Help me, Jesus," then, you can turn that around. A lot of times, and I've said this before and I keep saying it, a lot of times when I start getting dragged down by stuff like that, I will just stop and just take a deep breath, think for a minute, release all those burdens that are holding me down. And I mean, yes, even though they're still sitting there waiting for me, you release them mentally and just, say a little prayer, talk to Jesus for a minute, talk to God, and it kind of lets you start over. Doesn't always work perfect. I'm not saying that it's just going to make everything completely better, but it does help. Now, I just want to jump down here for a minute to Hebrews 12:2. That's one of the scriptures in here today. And when I read this, what grabbed my attention, and I've read this before, but it's so easy when you're reading the Bible and scriptures to just read through it and be done and walk away. Take it on the surface and that, but for some reason it just really grabbed my attention today. It says, "Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God." Now, right on the surface, that immediately makes me feel like where it says scorning its shame and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God, scorning its shame, like he's released that feeling of shame that he had for being put to death on the cross. However, that's not really what scorning means. Scorning means that you despise. So he despised the shame that was associated with that. And so I started doing a little bit of research here to see, am I really understanding it? Am I taking it the wrong way? And honestly, in the end, it's still kind of up in the air. I found this one page here, medium.com, salt blog, scorning its shame. I'll put a link to this below so you can read it yourself, and let me know what you think about this. But it basically reads through the scripture, and then down here, it says, "Crucifixion was the most shameful means of execution used by the Roman Empire. This means of torture and execution was so humiliating and painful that Roman citizens were not even allowed to be executed in this manner. Only the lowest of the low were executed on a cross. To Jews, crucifixion was horrendous and seen as being one of the most revolting forms of execution. Those displayed or hung publicly in their execution was seen as being cursed by God. Let there be no doubt that Jesus' crucifixion was one of the most humiliating and painful deaths anyone could suffer. There was truly no more shameful way to die than being crucified. Jesus' death on the cross, however, holds more shame than being a humiliating way to die. As Jesus, a perfect, blameless man, died on the cross, he took all the guilt of everything wrong ever done in history of humanity. As he was executed, he took on the shame and guilt of genocides, murders, brutality, hatred, truly shameful things, the worst crimes humanity has ever committed against itself and God. So everything ever in history, guys, every sin ever committed by man, he endured the pain of that. The shame you feel, or that you know you ought to feel when you do something wrong, was felt by Jesus at the moment of his crucifixion. Ultimately, each of us should recognize that the humiliating and painful execution he went through is actually the punishment we deserve to suffer ourselves. Each of us is imperfect and sinful. The truth is that you should be on the cross. That's what it says here. The overwhelming shame of the imperfection of the human race, as well as the humiliation of the slow, excruciating death Jesus went through, is what the writer of Hebrews refers to when he says that Jesus went to the cross scorning its shame. He despised the humiliation of the cross, but even when he hated the fact that each one of us was imprisoned by the guilt and shame we felt for the wrongs we have done, Jesus' sacrifice, his brutal death, was a rescue mission for all of us. As we take the bread and juice which represent his body and blood, let us consider the shame that comes from our darkest secrets, our most shameful moments. Then remember Jesus' amazing love for you, and that he has freed you from his humiliation and failure through his death on the cross and his resurrection from the dead. Now that is very, very powerful, and I want each and every single one of you to go to this website and read this, because that is a perfect explanation of what he was feeling and what the crucifixion means to us and to Jesus. It doesn't really answer the question that did he go to his seat on the throne beside God feeling this humiliation for being crucified, or does he ultimately release it? And that's kind of what my question is in the wording of scorning its shame. So, I don't know. You tell me what you think. I think that ultimately he was released and relieved of that feeling of humiliation, at the same time as knowing and accepting and like never forgetting, what it means and why he was crucified ultimately. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that. But sometimes when I'm reading this book, something like that will grab my attention, either in what it says or in the scriptures, and it just kind of makes me go back and do some more research, read some more. And that was a good one this morning. I'm glad I spent some time reading about that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to let you go. You let me know what you think about that. Do you think that Jesus was relieved of that feeling of humiliation? Or do you think that to this day, he just feels that ultimately through his entire life, just as something that, as a burden that he has taken on for us, that he can never really relieve himself of feeling that humiliation? I don't know. Anyways, guys, don't forget to say Happy Jesus when you need it. Wherever you're waking up, whatever time it is, make the best of your day. Do something for somebody else. Pay it forward, and let's make this world a better place. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And if you want to get this book for yourself, Jesus Calling, it is available everywhere. Walmart, eBay, Amazon. I have a link below. Get it. Peace out.